for prisoners who will be considered for parole. That's what Justice Minister Ronald Lamola has promised. It follows an outcry over the system after parolees allegedly committed serious crimes. Lamola held a meeting with the high-ranking officials to discuss this matter. And this morning we speak to the Deputy Minister of Correctional Services, that's Inkosi Pategile Olomisa, who is in our Cape Town studios. Mr. Olomisa, thank you very much for your time. So what are some of the most glaring failures you've discovered?
Good morning, Tony. The failures have to do with the fact that some of the heinous crimes that have recently been committed against children, especially, who have been kidnapped, sexually molested, and then murdered by people who have come out of our correctional centers having undergone rehabilitation programs, rather trainings, which were meant to ensure that when they are released, they will be law-abiding citizens who have put behind themselves the idea of committing any more crimes. Now it seems as if, therefore, that the manner in which we process the parole applications is somewhat flawed, in the sense that we are not able to detect the conduct that is subsequently committed by these people when they get out of our centers.
Mr. Olomisa, the importance has got to be placed on the communities into which these parolees are released to. Whose responsibility is it to make sure that that community is aware, or is this not part of the mandate? Your mandate, at least.
Well, when we release these parolees out of our centers, they remain our responsibility. They continue to be our inmates, rather, though they are outside of the buildings.
So it means that your monitoring systems are
supervision,
failing.
and you have to monitor them at all times. I beg your pardon?
I'm saying that, so it means that the people that are meant to monitor these parolees are failing at their job.
No, what I'm saying is the prison authorities are responsible for monitoring them, but at the same time, the communities into which they are released have a responsibility to ensure that they abide by the conditions under which they have been released, and that if they see that they are no longer behaving in the manner that is expected of them, they must also report them to the police and to the prison authorities, so that necessary action is taken, like, for instance, their parole being withdrawn and them being taken back to our centers and duly punished.
Mr. Olomisa, I think I possibly would have heard you wrongly. Are you saying that the community is partly responsible for communicating with you if the behavior of a parolee is out of hand?
You heard me quite well, because this is a community corrections program. We also want the communities to participate in rehabilitating these people further during the remainder of their life, rather their sentences.
Mr. Olomisa, I think that is absolutely absurd, because the very same communities that are battling as a result of these parolees which were in your care or which were in your system and are not behaving in a correct manner. In fact, the very release of them into these communities, the communities are not even communicated to. Talk to me about the recruitment process of the people that sit on these parole boards. What are the qualifications required, if any?
Well, first of all, before these people are released on parole, there is what is called the victim-offender dialogue, where the offender and the victim are brought together so that they can indicate whether or not that is the victims. They are comfortable with the offender being released. And secondly, there's what we call victim-offender mediation, where the community is participating in a dialogue with the prison authorities as well as with the offenders in the presence of the victims. So at the same time to establish whether the community itself is comfortable with the release of
Minister, I'm sorry to
now the
interject.
parole board is made up.
Please, can
the
I just
parole
interject?
board is made up of a number of people coming from the justice cluster and also from the community. So you have the police, you have prison authorities, you have psychologists and such like people, criminologists, as well as representatives of the community who sit on the board when consideration is given to whether parole should be given or not.
Deputy Minister, you and I know that there have been admissions from the correctional services that these consultations are not done with the victims before these people are released. So what are you talking about when you say there's a victim-offender interaction?
I'm saying these are programs that we have in place. Sometimes people are loyal to them and they do them properly. Sometimes we discover that that is not happening. So that is why then the minister decided to call a meeting of secretaries and chairpersons of parole boards, especially here in the Western Cape, to establish exactly as to why it is that there seems to be flaws in the system.
Minister, you haven't answered my question about the qualification of people who are recruited to sit on these parole boards. What is their educational criteria, if any?
Well, obviously, people who are employed in the correctional services have to have some qualifications. People who are employed in the SAPS have to have some qualifications. People employed in the NPA have to have some qualifications.
Deputy Minister, it doesn't answer me. It doesn't answer me.
Psychiatrists and psychiatrists have to be involved. I don't know about whether they should have a BA degree or what. But what I'm saying is that these are the people. Well, I don't know. I didn't expect you to ask me the question as to what qualifications do they have. All I'm saying is that these are people who are on a general basis involved in the work of the criminal justice system.
Deputy Minister of Correctional Services, Nkosi Patekile Olomisa, thank you very much for your time.